Okay. Call to order. Do a roll call.
Mr. Campbell,
Yeah.
Mr. Longest, he's online. Mr. Rhodes,
Present.
Mr. Hodges,
Here.
Mr. Holderide,
Present.
Mr. Pearson's not here, and Chairman Brown.
Jay is going to join us. He's going to dial in if he's not here already. He's got a family member that's sick and he's taking care of business, but he's going to be here. Item 3 is review and adoption of the meeting agenda, and I'd like to just take a minute and negotiate that. I'd like to add an item, and that would be Steve, if you're prepared, I'd like to hear about how your tour went yesterday.
Yes.
Okay, so is there anything else that we need to add? Want to add?
Oh, how about All Points Broadband? Shouldn't they be reporting in?
Well,
I mean,
now-
can we get an update? Maybe.
I can give you an update, but you guys agreed to push that onto the county completely.
We did?
Yes, so you guys are out of the picture.
All right.
I can always update you on how it's
Okay.
going.
Okay, I'm glad you reminded me of that. Okay, thank you, Steve.
All right, so unfinished business, word skills, tour, is there anything else you want to go over? Okay, do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So,
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So, board skills and assessment. Jay was going to lead us in this discussion. He's home taking care of a sick family member. I think we have all of the input, don't we? Is that right, Chris?
Yes.
So we've got all the responses. We don't have it in front of us. And so the hope is that we'll be able to use this matrix and as a tool to figure out where we want to strengthen this body and I wasn't, when I walked in here, I thought we were missing 2 numbers. I was focused on that. We've got everybody. I think we're done with this piece, and the next step is to do just what I said, which is to use this matrix to figure out where the needs are. We've got half a dozen or more, almost a dozen applicants.
So we were going to add a column though for grant writing from the last conversation, because we don't have anybody that's skilled in grant writing.
I've forgotten that. Okay. So that's just a hole.
Yep.
How do you all think we have a discussion about what our needs are? I mean, so like, one of the things somebody just asked me, I think it would be helpful to have folks who, finance folks who understand this kind of cash flow analysis and return on investment and financing and help put together and assemble discount cash flows and those sorts of things. That would be, to me, seems like an obvious area where we could get some help, strengthen this board.
So
How do we have that dialogue? How do we do that, Gene?
Yeah, that's be a good trait for one of us to have on this board, some feelings and finance. You talking like an accounting experience
So,
or just finance, banking or something like that?
right, I think these columns need to be a little bit more specific in what we're actually asking for. The reason I say that is because ROI is not necessarily banking and finance. ROI applies to, I mean, I do ROI analysis on systems in the Marine Corps as far as what they're providing to the Marine Corps and what their longevity is, sustainability and all of that. So when I see banking and finance, I mean, I do finances for millions of dollars. Kenny does daggone finances for his business. I mean, we all do finances to a certain extent. We all have our own checkbooks, our own banking accounts and all that. But what exactly are we really looking for? Do
Somebody
we want
working
a banker?
in the finance arena.
But
Somebody actually
what
that's
cost-
their job is what I would want. I mean,
Right. But even in finance, I have mortgage brokers, I have, tellers. All of those are in finance. What exactly is the skill set that we're looking for? That's what I'm getting at. These are broad areas of job areas, but those aren't skill sets. They don't define what exactly it is that we're looking for. Like grant writing, it would be underneath like proposal writing and contract writing. Grants are another subset of that we would need somebody in there. Legal, yeah, but legal, what part of legal? All of these are just broad subject areas that we're not really defining what we want. Like if I have somebody come in and say that they were a paralegal for a law firm for 50 years, is that what we need? Or do we find out that they served in family law and it has no applicability to what we're really looking at? Because they never touched contract law or touched any type of business law or anything like that. That's all I'm saying, is that these are very broad subjects, but if we're going to ask for these skill sets, then we need to be very specific in what we're looking for. It's sort of like a resume. That way, when the individuals fill these out, we can actually pinpoint what exactly it is that we're looking for.
There's not a whole lot of information on
No, and this does, none of these would I be able to say that any of our gaps, do any of these people fit based off of what we have right now?
So in this brief dialogue, there are two things that have fallen out. One of them is that it would be nice to have a lawyer, somebody who.
Real estate,
understands-
law, that certainly fit in. I need to get closer.
So, yeah, so that seems like a.
In finance, I would think of in the loan department, dealing with loans. That's certainly something we would like to have experience with.
Well, would we want loans or would we want bonds? Because we can issue bonds.
Yeah,
So,
But again, when we talk legal, we're covered by the county's legal. So we have to be very careful when, is the person that we put on this authority, are they acting in a legal context? Or are they simply providing legal viewpoints? Because something that they say on this authority setting up here, and if they're providing a legal opinion on what we can do and what we can't do, we're not represented by them. We are represented by the county. We're covered by the county's legal team. Is that going in the same context as a county is? Because they could be at odds with what they believe the interpretation or the opinion is. So I get what we're saying, what we would like to have, but I mean, we can always ask the county to provide legal assistance if we need legal assistance at these meetings. That's part of the coverage for that legal team, is that they provide it to all of our authorities also. So we can have them come in if we've got a discussion any certain night that we need legal opinion. We have them come in and they're part of the meeting.
yeah, I think it's for me, I think the way I'm thinking, looking at this is that it's really the critical thinking component, right? And if we have people with different perspectives, then we're going to get a more robust discussion from different perspectives. And if we're talking about bonds and we're talking about investment, seems like we should have a couple people who understand discounted cash flows and how to put them together, what they do, how they work, the functions of the dollar. And can take a critical approach to the assumptions. And so I think it would be helpful to have some finance and legal. And as we talk about it, maybe we identify some more. What I'm not clear on is we've got great information here, is how we put together a process to get a consensus on where we think we can strengthen their membership, and then how we actually implement it, right? Do we go out and do we actually find people? Do we go, if we want a lawyer, do we go find a lawyer? Steve, I don't know if you've got that perspective that would be helpful here or not.
I mean, yes, of course, if you identify some specific character traits, then we can advertise specifically for those, and then use that to tell the board, we think these individuals have the exact qualities or traits, skills that we're looking for. If we don't collect those exact specific ones that you've identified, then you go to the more broad, I think, approach and say, oh, well, this specific quality isn't exactly what we're looking for, but it's still going to be public.
So I guess one question is are we concerned with county, are we concerned with attaining skill sets, or more, are we concerned with making sure that every part of the county is represented? Because we see the same thing. I mean, we can put an ad out that says that, we've got 4 people from 2nd district and we need some from 5th, or whatever it falls out to be. But if I don't get any applications from 5th district, I'm still kind of stuck in the same position. I can't move forward. And that's asking just on
I
district
think we
wise.
need more representation from the whole county, from each district. That to me is, I prioritize that more. And as far as experience in these different fields, just the general knowledge, I don't think we should go seeking a lawyer for this authority. I'm seeking an accountant, just someone that has general knowledge in different areas, law, finance, bonds. If you got that person, great. And I don't think we would go and find what we really want. But to me, prioritize the representation first. And y'all are you're talking about maybe revising this form for the applicants. So I don't know if we want to put on a form that we are seeking someone in finance, someone in law. That person would fill that in if they got that knowledge, or got that experience. And I'm trying to say, I don't think we should go out and, we need a lawyer, we need an accountant. I don't like doing that.
I think you can say, if we're posting this on the website, of course, we're gonna have it on boards and commissions, but we do a little write-up or something, where of course, we're gonna list exactly what the EDA does.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna list the sorts of skill sets, it doesn't have to be job description, but broad skill sets of what is useful to an EDA.
That makes a lot of sense.
But if we define that, I mean, even for ourselves, if we define that, because I don't think that, Gene, even in yours and my time before any of this, that the skill sets needed to operate an EDA were ever defined. It's simply because if you look at the application the way that it is, it's the same going out for any application from here. The big highlights are, A, are you a resident of the county? B, how long have you lived in the county? And what have you done, civic activities? What things have you volunteered for? And then what are your choices on where you want to serve?
Yeah, this is a general application for someone to serve the county.
Right.
If they, I want to serve the county, I volunteer my service, then first choice, the different commissions. If we want to specialize, we want to look for EDA, then we need a separate application. Fill this out if you want to be a member of the EDA.
Certainly doable.
But
That's
I'm
certainly
also-
doable, but it's also, I mean, a general application, is a general application. We can advertise that we would like certain qualities are great for the EDA, and then we expect that someone applying also provide more backup information. Most people apply, send in some sort of resume or.
we've only had one resume on this board that I know of, and that was him.
Huh.
That was the only one that I had ever seen.
And maybe Luke the second.
So, and here's my concern with getting into specialized skill sets is the EDA is supposed to be fluid in the fact of not too so long ago, a primary focus of this authority was infrastructure, and the primary infrastructure was broadband, to the point where we established a daggone subcommittee that worked on broadband by itself. Well, now we don't even touch broadband. So simply 2 years ago, we would have advertised for people who are strong in that capacity, yet now we're not going to utilize it. So I think that advertising more along the lines of, one, who can we get to serve that wants to serve and actively be a part of this? That broad look across the county of making sure that all of our districts are covered. Those are the primary factors for me. And then if we need to, I don't have any problem with going to the board and having you and Jay go to the board and request funding for us to get somebody who's specialized, just as we're doing right now, for consultation to help us out with areas that we need consults in. Because it wasn't so long ago with like bonds that we spent, what, 5 weeks going through bonds and how an EDA works within the county and everything that needs to be done there. So we've done it before to get the training to be able to move forward with it. I'm just concerned with, we have 9 positions that we can fill. And we have probably 13 areas that we want to fill, that of skill sets that become very specific. And I think that we may end up putting ourselves into an area that we end up not being able to find the skill sets that we're looking for, and we leave positions open instead of utilizing what we have. That's my concern.
And I know I'd said this months back, you know, I've been seeing a lot of wins that other EDAs have been posting via social media or in the paper. And a lot of them all have a paid individual, either on county staff, and then there's a group of elected / volunteer based, such as ourselves, that helps that person. So there's one person with the eye on the prize, being it's their full-time job. And then there's the group of the people that are helping. Now, I know that it's probably not in the budget, but, you know, we always discussed maybe going in that direction to have that person. I know the big thing is real estate is really where we've always kind of lacked. And then someone, you know, we just talked about downtown Virginia, other counties, Warsaw, wow, 24 months. If you've driven through Warsaw, drive through it, it looks nothing like it did 24 months. Tappahannock, you know, these counties have cashed in on these downtown grants big time and taken advantage. So I think grant writing, and that doesn't have to be a special person, but it's just someone who can follow through and go after it. And then real estate, someone who has their pulse on listings. I mean, I see what I see, but, you know, I see Alan Brentley right on the front. I went in Alan's office once. He had a whiteboard. It had like 30 companies. The man literally called Waffle House. And the name of the contact, when he talked to him, I think the board still exists on his office. I mean, granted, nothing's panned out, but I mean, he's got his finger on it, or he's trying to at least. So I would go back to still present the idea of a paid point person within the county, and then us. But and then too, you know, not to be long-winded, you know, we talk about, you know, supply chain, my own business, I see supply chain issues. Virginia right now is a trucking nightmare because the only thing that, since we don't manufacture much here, you know, manufacturing is North Carolina, Georgia, me getting a truck in here is horrible because no one can get a load to get out. I can ship something from Georgia to Pennsylvania cheaper than I can Georgia or Virginia, unless they can haul a container out. So, you know, we have rail, we have water, we've got a lot of things. We've got potential, I think, warehousing opportunities down Route 30 within a quick shot of 95. And us as a board are not taking advantage of some of these opportunities that are rising. As long as the price of other ones as well. So, you know, what kind of individuals is it going to take to kind of work with planning to, and I think that's a paid person, you know, to kind of follow up on the day to day. But I think, yeah, everyone's on point with creating those, maybe those two major categories. I would make the suggestion of real estate and grant writing as an elected group. Those are the two things I think we're lacking. That could actually physically move the needle. Because real estate's a real problem in this county. A business can come and I'm not sure if there's a place for them from a real estate standpoint.
But if someone, so do we want someone who is active in real estate or is retired from real estate?
I would say active, that they see the hot list of listings.
Probably you get that retired one, get more out of him than an active guy.
Well, the reason I
Oh, well,
ask is,
either one.
right, but the reason I ask is that if we're asking someone who does this for a living, then basically they're leaving their job and you're asking them to do that same job once they come to here, but to do it for free.
I'm getting confused.
It's just a little bit of time. though.
I get it, but I mean, it's still the same thing. I mean, it's like, you know, we want you to come up here and bring the, you know, the equipment up and work everything up here in this time. I understand that they could want to do it, but then again, that could be an issue. Could also be a conflict with one particular company being represented on this EDA for real estate. And do we not have in planning the ability to pull available properties?
We do not, I'm not sure if the commissioner on review they may.
Okay,
Let me say something. I don't think we get bogged down in too much details here. We're looking for people that will serve, volunteer. I don't think we're looking for someone to come on this board and work for us. We're looking for someone in the county, retired, might have a little more time, or actively working with their knowledge in certain areas to give us input, but I'm not quite understanding you trying to work for us to come in here and, all right, now we want you to go out and find some properties we think we business.
well, that's the way I'm understanding the issue with properties in King William. The issues with property in King William is what's available, what's the asking price on it, what are they willing to do with that? Because we've had several conversations before where this property is available up on 360, but they want this much money for it. Private individual wants this much money for it. And I just don't know what is it that we do, because we don't own any property, the EDA doesn't. So what do we do with that private business to private owner? How do we inject ourselves by putting somebody with real estate experience on the EDA? What do we expect to get done with that? That's what I'm asking.
So I'd like to pivot in a little bit of a different direction and make a proposal, and if there are better ideas, let's talk about them. But I'd like permission, I think, from this group to spend some time thinking about a framework that we can use.
Thinking about what?
A framework that we can use to have a more a deeper conversation with, I think next time we meet. Yes, yeah, that's.
Hey.
So it would be we have two.
We're gonna meet the
Right?
1st of December to discuss RKG
And then-
stuff, and then we're gonna consider if we needed to meet again
Right.
based on that.
So what I can do is spend some time just thinking about these issues that we've discussed and try to come back with something that everybody can bounce off of and hopefully advance the conversation for more direction and some thought, if that works for everybody. And I'm not sure what that means, but I'm
Is our goal to fill these vacancies by January 1? I'll do, just fill them when we got some qualified people. I mean, what are we shooting for here? We've got, how many right now?
Two.
We've got 2 openings, we
Two
got 7
openings.
members, 2 openings.
And I've got a question on the applications real quick, because some of these, so certain individuals on here have already served this authority. So are,
They need to come off, like Roger.
yeah,
Right.
well, Roger, Bones Jenkins, Garland Jenkins,
Yeah.
he served,
George.
Joyce has served. So all of those individuals were actually pulled and their applications were accepted and the board approved them to be a part of the authority, and they have now moved on. So those individuals, I know that we state that we keep them on file for 2 years, but do we keep them on file and bring them back up if they've served after that time period?
I'd say they're gone unless they come back to us.
Right, and that's what I did to
But you-
inform the authority that I was willing to come back and serve. I had served before, my application was still on file, but I put my application back in and said that I was willing to serve again.
Right. Ms. Branch, do you know, were these people that had served before, had they been contacted again, that they wanted to serve again?
The
Or-
only one that was contacted was Joyce Wolf, and she said that she would be interested in being considered. She'd be willing to come back.
She'd be interested in coming back on.
So we have her.
Yeah, but that
Hers is
was,
the very last
that
one.
was in May, so
Oh, yeah.
that could have changed.
If with everybody's permission, I'll spend some time between now and December 8th, and I'll try to put together a framework that will help us have a more informed discussion, and I'll bring that, and we can use that next time, and so does that work for everybody? And I'll try to spend some time thinking this through.
But just as a FYI, if the planning commission has an opening, Joyce is an urban studies and planning graduate. She has a degree in that, so she's willing to serve on that, and that's actually her first choice
Yeah.
on that. So if you had an opening on the planning commission, you might get a very skilled worker on that commission that would be able to help out immediately.
I would like to bring your attention to the screen, just to be your consideration as you think about this in the coming weeks. This is what Ms. Branch put together for the newly formed reassessment advisory committee. And so that committee is a committee, and it's got a very specific task to do, right? So, and that task got scoped out, but all we did was update an application like this to at least include a few of those skills they were looking for. Just a thought.
Do we have anyone in the office compound here that could be that point, or should I say, to have a paid EDA person, what is required? Is that budgetized, or can
Yes.
can you pull from elsewhere within this building with that person at the point?
Right now, technically, county administrator is the point person for economic development. Obviously, that plate is pretty full and doesn't give the kind of attention to economic development that a full-time economic developer would. I think it would be great, considering the needs of the county right now, that we could work that in some kind of way. I don't know how it's gonna happen in the next year or two before the reassessment, just for budget concerns.
Is there another?
But I do feel like that is a direction that the county is going to have to go.
Yeah.
Just-
Is there another individual in this building that could wear that hat or?
Unlikely, everyone, right now, we're in a bare bones group.
Yeah.
And I can't see them taking on additional responsibilities, especially when we're actually looking for somebody that can dedicate time to that.
Not a whole lot of budget.
Now,
Because, you know, West Point has a very good chamber that's gaining a lot of popularity and a lot of strength. And they're doing a lot networking with the businesses. And if we could really pull ourselves together to possibly have that point person and then have us, I think between those two forces.
Well, Larkin wants to do work with us.
Yeah.
So Larkin Garvey she was just newly elected, I believe, as the chairperson for the chamber down there. So they just established their board for the coming year, and she wants to work with the EDA up here. So she wants to join, same vision as before, West Point, King William, one county, and basically utilize that chamber. I gave her the history of the chamber here within King William and why that hasn't picked back up for whatever reason, and gave her all of that. I did ask when we did the Roanoke symposiums a couple of years ago and met with all the other EDAs throughout the state. I asked that specific question that you just asked about having someone that is paid, because there was a large contingent of EDA folks from different communities that said that no one on this authority should serve unless you have a degree in economic development. To which I said, well, that's great if you have that kind of money and you can afford that type of budget. But then again, you've taken away the ability for citizens to actually serve within the community. And I asked one of the speakers who was an economic development manager who worked specifically, was a point person for, I believe, Blacksburg, and then moved to Harrisonburg. And I asked him, tell me what it is that you do that can be a proven thing that I can go back and show a return on investment. And he said, there is nothing. There is absolutely nothing that you can show with an economic developer, because they may come in and for 2 years, you don't see any new businesses, but they've laid the groundwork for everything to happen after they leave. You can have somebody come in and they pick up 2 or 3 businesses that come in. So you can't really judge like what's a return on an economic development manager. West Point used to have one. They got rid of them because of that exact thing. They were paying for a service on top of the economic development authority that they have in West Point. And there's no true thing that you can measure and say, what have you done for us?
So I'm pretty clear that anything, I really don't want to stumble, right? When we do something, right? When we get this report back, I mean, I want to see this thing grow legs, and none of us are doing this. We're doing it to leave this place better than found it.
Right.
And so we need to figure out how we can get from here to there as fast as possible. And so what I've just done, so like my homework is I'm gonna work on a framework for this matrix discussion, and then try to put together a framework that will help us move from that discussion to what we need or want in these vacancies, right? And there's been a lot of input. There's been, we need fair representation. There's been, and I'll try to spend some time thinking about that. Steve, I may call you to get your perspective. If I can find some good reference points, what other EDAs are doing. I mean, I'll spend some time on it, right? And I'll get us, I'll get as far as my time allows me to go with it, and I'll have something on the 8th. So that's my homework I signed up for. Let's see, so that's the assessment. So, can we get an update on your tour? I'm
Sure.
really curious to know how that went. And
Well, had a good time going all over the county. Let them here, showed them courthouse area, and how the comp plan kind of showed how maybe it'd be nice to have do some sort of development between here and the other court building. And, opportunities here to grow the courthouse, headed down to West Point, showed the lumber mill, or drove by, identified the lumber mill, and just made a circle in town so they could at least see the paper mill and all. West Point's obviously not in our scope, but on the other hand, it does affect.
this is right.
It's yes,
33% of our tax revenue.
yeah, it's still a big part of the county. So it's cool.
So did you look at the corridors? Did you go 630 and 360?
Yeah, so they came in on 30 all the way down, continued all the way down on 30, came back up. I took them down Sharon Road, and then out to 360, down to the Commerce Park, out to Presley Barn, out that area around the solar farm, came back through, looped into that's house developments, the Cedar Crest and the older stuff out there, came back through Central Garage, showed them all the new housing developments and what we've got as far as commerce on the corridor, down to River Road, Aylet, up River Road. I was showing them kind of what we had identified as residential that is contentious point of the 5 acre minimum, 10 acre minimum, and kind of what it looks like when it's just split this big parcel into 5 acre lots versus they were making some comments about how you can potentially, one way to save your acreage is to do some sort of trade-offs where they can get the houses, stick them into the density here and Central Garage, but maintain the big open farms elsewhere. Just talking and showing them basically all of our ag area. Forestry.
Did you see industry? Did you go to the kitty litter?
And we went to
plant?
the kitty litter
Okay,
plant.
that's
Yeah,
important.
went down to the kitty litter plant, showed them that, showed them on the GIS before that, kind of the acreage that they own and their plans, and the dozen or so lots that are still there that they got pictures of everything that's for sale. There's one or two lots there that's for sale. I think there's a jug plant that's identified as coming in there soon.
What plant?
A jug factory.
Jug, like milk jug?
Uh-huh.
Jug.
I'm not sure what they put in those jugs, but something like that. We've got plans. I told them that it's kind of identifying what it's zoned now on the corridors on 360 and 30, but the rezoning is probably going to take more of that. Anytime there's an opportunity to make it business commercial on 360, that's going to happen.
Okay.
Showed them where all the utilities are, where the lines are actually running to from.
That's good.
Gave them some maps, general map that I've got that has all the zoning areas, especially highlighted for the commercial and higher density stuff that shows all the utilities on it. They're supposed to be contacting me today or soon with a data request that I can get a bunch of GIS data, whatever else we've got for
That's great. Thank you for doing that.
them. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Quick question. Did anything kind of pop to their mind? Or any light bulbs go off or anything that they?
Well, it's just Kyle.
He brought a colleague with him.
You did, okay.
No, it was mostly just identifying what everything was, taking pictures of it, taking pictures of what was for sale and all. They did mention or question about the 30 to the northwest, the entrance exit to the county.
30 to the northwest, like the other side of.
Caroline.
Caroline, Hanover, well,
Yeah.
not up River Road, but on 30, it's going towards Kingston, that's the closest access to 95. Why nothing has been done there, that might be an opportunity for something, what can you put in that area since it's such a jump to the
Yep.
interstate from there. That might be something they'd want to look
Yeah.
into.
Okay. How long did you stay? Did you ride? How long?
We took off about 11:30 and got back about 3:30.
Good, right. Yeah,
It's a long time.
good, okay. Well, thank you for doing that. That's fantastic. And then, we get together on the first to talk about, is that right? I mean, if I remember correctly, we're gonna meet on the first.
Yes, that's what we had talked about with them.
Okay,
November first, I mean, December first.
first, yeah. And so what do we need to do to prepare for that? I mean,
They were supposed to provide a small read ahead at
Right.
least, so that we came to the meeting with some idea of what was going to be discussed. So I think this is all on them right now to provide us with some type of feedback so that we can come to the meeting and ask questions.
good, okay. Well, appreciate your- All right, is that, so that's the tour, we have public comment period?
Can I ask a question? Is the Zoom open to public?
Yes.
Okay, so I've had some people text me and say they couldn't get in.
Do we have anybody joining us?
Mr. Moran was there, but he left recently. Travis is there, and then the other two are me.
Okay. So,
That's nice.
no public comment. Next meeting is December 1st, and then, adjourn and recess. Is there a motion to adjourn and recess?
One question on December 1st, that's a special call meeting?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we're gonna talk on the, we decide on the 1st, whether we need to meet on the 8th.
And with that being a special call meeting, have we already advertised?
We have not, I don't believe we posted that, have we?
It's on the
Oh,
website.
it is, okay.
Okay.
Thank you. That's good. Keeps us out of trouble. Good. Okay. So motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
I'll second.
Move, second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
So did your information get on the